I wanted to do it for years. There are few pages in few books that I adore with the highest things of me that 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 haunt me few days and nights that I must tell somebody else. This one is from Ayn Rand book, Atlas Shrugged. It is the scene where Reardon, the creator of Reardon Metal, one of the biggest protagonists of the book, starts to realize just what kind of evil rules him. He was looking at a long row of vertical strips, which was the battery of coke ovens. A narrow door slid open with a brief gasp of flame, and a sheet of red glowing coke came sliding out smoothly, like a slice of bread from the side of a giant toaster. It held still for an instant, then an angular crack shot through the slice, and it crumbled on the gondola waiting on the rails below. Danager Co, he thought. These were the only words in his mind. The rest was a feeling of loneliness, so vast that even his own pain seemed swallowed in an enormous void. Yesterday Dagny had told him the story of her futile attempt and given him Danager messages. This morning he had heard the news that Danager had disappeared. Through the sleepless night, then through the taut concentration on the duties of the day, his answer to the message had kept beating in his mind, the answer he would never have a chance to utter. The only man I ever loved. It came from Ken Danager, who has never expressed anything more personal than, "Look here, Reardon." He thought, why had we let it go? Why had we both been condemned in the hours away from our desks to an exile among dreary strangers who had made us give up all desire for rest, for friendship, for the sound of human voices? Could I now reclaim a single hour spent listening to my brother Philip and give it to Ken Danager, who made it our duty to accept as the only reward for our work the great torture of pretending love for those who roused us to nothing but contempt? We, who were able to melt rock and metal for our purpose, why had we never sought that which we wanted from men? He tried to choke the words in his mind, knowing that it was useless to think of them now. But the words were there, and they were like words addressed to the dead. No, I don't damn you for leaving, if that is the question, and the pain which you took away with you. Why didn't you give me a chance to tell you? What? Did I approve? No, but I can neither blame you nor follow you. Closing his eyes, he permitted himself to experience a moment of the immense relief he would feel if he too were to walk off, abandoning everything. Under the shock of his loss, he felt a thin thread of envy. Why didn't they come for me too, whoever they are, and give me that irresistible reason which would make me to go? But in the next moment his shudder of anger told him that he would murder the man who would attempt to approach him. He would murder before he could hear the words of the secret that would make him take him away from his meals. It was late, his staff had gone, but he dreaded the road to his house and the emptiness of the evening ahead. He felt as if the enemy who had wiped away Ken Danager were waiting for him in the darkness, beyond the glow of the mills. He was not invulnerable any longer, but whatever it was, he thought, whatever it came from, he was safe from it here, as in a circle of fires thrown about him to ward off evil. He looked at the glittering white splashes on the dark windows of a structure in the distance. They were like motionless ripples of sunlight on water. It was the reflection of the neon sign that burned on the roof of the building above his head, saying, "Reardon Steel." He thought of the night when he had wished to light a sign above his past, saying, "Reardon Life." Why had he wished for it? For whose eyes to see? He thought in bitter astonishment, and for the first time, that the joyous pride he had once felt had come from his respect for men, for the value of their admiration and their judgment. He did not feel it any longer. There were no men, he thought, to whose side he could wish to offer that sign. He turned brusquely away from the window. He seized his overcoat with a harsh sweep of a gesture intended to jolt him back the discipline of action. He slammed the two folds of the overcoat about his body. He jerked the belt tight, then hastened to turn off the lights with rapid snaps of his hands on his way out the office. He threw the door open and stopped. A single lamp was burning in a corner of the dimmed afternoon. The man who sat on the edge of a desk in a pose of casual, patient waiting was Francisca D'Anconia. Riordan stood still and caught a brief instant when Francisca, not moving, looked at him with the hint of an amused smile that was like a wink between conspirators at a secret they both understood, but not acknowledged. It was only an instant, almost too brief to grasp, because it seems to him that Francisco rose at once at his entrance, with a movement of courteous deference. The movement suggested a strict formality, the denial of any attempt at presumption, but stressed the intimacy of the fact that he uttered no word of greeting or explanation. Riordan asked, his voice hard, "What are you doing here?" "I thought that you would want to see me tonight, Mr. Riordan." "Why?" "For the same reason that has kept you so late in your office. You are not working." "How long have you been sitting here?" "An hour or two." "Why didn't you knock at my door?" "Would you have allowed me to come in?" "You're late in asking that question. Shall I leave, Mr. Riordan?" Riordan pointed to the door of his office. "Come in." Turning the lights on in the office, moving with unhurried control, Riordan thought that he must not allow himself to feel anything, but felt the color of life returning to him in intensely quiet eagerness for an emotion which he would not identify. What he told himself consciously was, "Be careful." He sat down on the edge of his desk, crossed his arms, looked at Francisca, who remained standing there respectfully before him, and asked with a cold hint of a smile, "Why did you come here?" "You don't want me to answer, Mr. Riordan. You wouldn't admit to me or to yourself how desperately lonely you are tonight. If you don't question me, you won't feel obligated to deny it. Just accept what you don't know anyway, that I know it." Taut like a string pulled by anger against the impatience of one end and by admiration for the frankness at the other, Riordan answered, "I'll admit it if you wish. What should it matter to me that you know it?" "That I know and I care, Mr. Riordan. I'm the only man around you who does." "Why should you care? And why should I need your help tonight?" "Because it's not easy to have to damn the man who meant most to you." "I won't damn you if you'd only stay away from me." Francisco's eyes widened a little. Then he grinned and said, "I was speaking of Mr. Danager." For an instant Riordan looked as if he wanted to slap his own face. Then he laughed softly and said, "All right, sit down." He waited to see what advantage Francisco would take of it now, but he obeyed him in silence, with a smile that had an oddly boyish quality, a look of triumph and gratitude together. "I don't damn Ken Danager," said Riordan. "Oh, you don't?" The two words seemed to fall with a singular emphasis. They were pronounced very quietly, almost cautiously, with no remnant of a smile on Francisco's face. "No, I don't try to prescribe how much a man should have to bear. If he broke, it's not for me to judge him." "If he broke? Well, didn't he?" Francisco leaned back, his smile returned, but it was not a happy smile. "What would this appearance do to you?" "I will just have to work a little harder." Francisco looked at the steel breech tracked in black strokes against the red stream beyond the window, and said, pointing, "Every one of those girders has a limit to the load it can carry. What's yours?" Riordan laughed. "Is that what you're afraid of? Is that why you came here? You're afraid I break. Did you want to save me, as Dagny Taggart wanted to save Ken Danager? She tried to reach him in time, but couldn't." "She did? I didn't know it. Miss Taggart and I disagree about many things." "Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to vanish. Let them all give up and stop working. I won't. I don't know my limit and I don't care. What I have to know is that I can't be stopped." "Any man can be stopped, Mr. Riordan. How?" "It is only a matter of knowing man's motive power." "What is it?" "You ought to know, Mr. Riordan. You're one of the last moral men left to the world." Riordan chuckled in bitter amusement. "I've been called just about everything but that. And you're wrong. You have no idea how wrong. Are you sure? I ought to know. Morrow, what on earth made you say it? Francesca pointed to the mills beyond the window. This. For a long moment, Reardon looked at him without moving, then asked only, "What do you mean?" "If you want to see an abstract principle, such as moral action in material form, there it is. Look at it, Mr. Reardon. Every girder of it, every pipe, wire, and valve was put there by choice in answer to the question, right or wrong. You had to choose right, and you had to choose the best within your knowledge, the best for your purpose, which was to make steel, and then move on and extend the knowledge and do better, and still better, with your purpose as a standard of value. You had to act on your own judgment. You had to have the capacity to judge, the courage to stand on a verdict of your mind, and the purest, the most ruthless concentration of the rule of doing right, of doing the best, the utmost best possible for you. Nothing could have made you act against your judgment, and you would have rejected as wrong, as evil, any man who attempted to tell you that the best way to heat a furnace was to fill it with ice. Millions of men, an entire nation, were not able to deter you from producing Reardon metal, because you had the knowledge of its superlative value, and the power which such knowledge gives. But what I wonder about, Mr. Reardon, is why you live by one code of principles when you deal with nature, and by another when you deal with man." Reardon's eyes were fixed on him so intensely that his question came slowly, as if the effort to pronounce it were a distraction. "What do you mean? Why don't you hold to the purpose of your life as clearly and as rigidly as you hold to the purpose of your mills? What do you mean? You have judged away every brick within this place by its value to the goal of making steel. Have you been as strict about the goal which you work, and you still are serving? What do you wish to achieve by giving your life to the making of steel? By what standard of value do you judge your days? For instance, why did you spend 10 years of extracting the effort to produce Reardon metal?" Reardon looked away, the slight, slimping movement of his shoulders, like a sign of release and disappointment. "If you had to ask that, then you wouldn't understand. If I told you that I understand it, but you don't, would you throw me out of here? I should have thrown you out of here anyway, so go ahead, tell me what you mean. Are you proud of the rail of the John Galt line? Yes. Why? Because it was the best rail ever made. Why did you make it? In order to make money. There were many easier ways to make money. Why did you choose the hardest? You said it in your speech at Taga's wedding, in order to exchange my best effort for the best effort of others. If that was your purpose, have you achieved it?" A bit of time vanished in a heavy drop of silence. "No," said Reardon. "Have you made any money?" "No." "When you strain your energy to its utmost in order to produce the best, do you expect to be rewarded for it, or punished?" Reardon did not answer. "By every standard of decency, of honor, of justice known to you, are you convinced that you should have been rewarded for it?" "Yes," said Reardon, his voice low. "Then, if you were punished instead, what sort of code have you accepted?" Reardon did not answer. "It is generally assumed," said Francisco, "that living in a human society makes one's life much easier and safer than if it were left alone to struggle against the nature on a desert island. Now, whenever there is a man who needs or uses metal in any way, Reardon metal has made his life easier for him. Has it made yours easier for you?" "No," said Reardon, his voice low. "Has it left your life as it was before you produced the metal?" "No," says Reardon, the work breaking off as if he had cut short through that followed. Francisco's voice lashed at him suddenly as a command. "Say it!" "It has made it harder," said Reardon tonelessly. "When you felt proud of the rail of the John Galt line," said Francisco, the measured riff of his voice giving a ruthless currency to his words, "what sort of man did you think of? Did you want to see that line used by your equals,